This is C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate, or CBA, essentially still Business Advocate. Still C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate, essentially. And this one I found out some information. This one is, of course, in a shorter amount of time than I thought it would be. In in when it comes to the Rite Aid Albertsons situation. It is said that their shareholders, both shareholders and their stockholders, apparently were not being benefited in any positive way, which basically halted the the merger or buyout of Rite Aid. This is of course the part two of that particular topic. um, anyway, the two companies, the grocer and the pharmacy retailer, both agreed mutually to completely eliminate the thing from ever happening. Although it would have made it where Albertsons would have been able to go public, even with the merger that they had no less than a year or so ago with Safeway. It would have been also a positive, beneficial thing for Rite Aid, seeing that um, uh, Walgreens bought over a good large percentage of the chain of Rite Aid, and of course they closed a number of stores even after restructuring a small number of them into Walgreens stores. Then later on closing those very stores, which was a bad business aspect for Walgreens to do. But of course, Walgreens doesn't find any negative effect to it yet. Um, the one thing is that usually companies don't always go by what their stock and shareholders say, even on basis of an opinion. Sometimes they just go ahead for it and kind of play, shall we say, chance with it. The playing cards of chance with it, which basically ends up usually to where they get bought out, and then they eliminate the acquisition of the company or companies that one company merged with or bought or took over, essentially, in the buyout or merger, or in the buyout and merger of the two or the one company. And the one thing is, now Rite Aid's going to be a standalone pharmacy retailer with CVS already having part of their pharmacy, a number of their pharmacies in the pharmacy part of their business anyway, in Target stores. And Walgreens doing a fair amount of moderately good level business. Even if their stock is moderately on the mid-level part of it within the report. The pharmacy of the pharmacy retailer of Rite Aid is going to try to do what they can to stay a standalone. And they even said that it would have helped them out exponentially. It would have. It would have. If, and only if, the pharmacy retailer stayed in the Rite Aid name. Even with the general commercialized connection and corporate connection with Albertsons, or like I said in my first one, Safeway Albertsons. The basic fact is that now Rite Aid is pretty much going to be like another Rexall in today's standards. Rexall was a standalone even with the competitors of then Long's, Walgreens, Rite Aid, or Walgreens and Payless essentially to start with. Uh, in heavy competition with them, of course. As I was thinking that there hasn't been any known Rexall pharmacy retailer around since I last seen one anyway, and even heard of one. Although I didn't mention that in my part in the first buyout merger topic video of CBA. The one thing is simply though Rite Aid might need some backing, not so much financial as of yet. They may need some financial backing at some point, but they may need some help from those who not really work for them, and possibly those who shop out at their locations, possibly. I being one of them. Be that, of course, I know the base of business. I would have been able to help Longs. I still can. And many people have asked me, what are your interests? I tell them, scale model building, in which I'm still trying to work on making a few structures. And ever since high school, before I graduated in '93, it's been business, the ins and outs. That's why I started to do the advocating for business, because I believe that with the economy the way it's been going thus far, even before the 1990s, has been kind of at a not so steady at times. At times it's kind of gone down, and at times it's gone a little bit to a certain length, right? And then at times it would go past that certain length, and at times it would go right back to that point, and even sometimes even lower. With the Obama administration, it's gone completely down past that line right there, because Obama doesn't know business. Obama doesn't know presidency. Only Obama wanted to do what he felt what he felt that his party wanted, which was socialism. Of course, that's a different topic, different video. So basically, the economy suffered. Business suffered. Even across every business practically across the board, except for Long. Surprising, not actually, not surprisingly, maybe surprisingly to some people, but not me. Seeing that I know long, and I've mentioned it on part one of CBA buyout merger video, in which I made just a few seconds ago or so. The 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 one thing is that if Rite Aid ever wanted to merge or connect with anybody, mm, it wouldn't be Walgreens. It wouldn't be CVS. And I've mentioned CVS's bad record. And it wouldn't be Walmart, Target, because Target already has CVS for one. I'd say pretty much, yeah, they're pretty much had to stand alone unless they were to do some sort of like collaboration contract negotiations with, say, um, Rayleigh's, Bel Air, Nob Hill Foods. Of course, Rayleigh's and Bel Air and Nob Hill Foods might not be too interested in that, even in the competitive market that they think that they have no issue with right now. Logically, you can't say that. You cannot say logically that actually that Albertsons hasn't already gone public. They've gone public twice already. Well, actually, maybe more than twice, really, with the acquisition and buyout of Save-On, at least the pharmacy part of it, and the acquisition, complete buyout and takeover of Lucky's supermarkets. The moderate high percentage of merger, almost complete buyout of Safeway stores, supermarket stores, essentially. So you can't really say that they haven't already gone public already. They've gone public 3 fucking times. And as I've said, that Albertsons isn't really looking like a retailer. They're looking like a realty company in the sense of trying to eliminate not only its known possible competition, but job possibilities along the way, because they think that they will be able to last through even the Amazon situation. And Amazon is planning to do the online grocery thing still. And also, the Amazon might even go to the points of pharmaceutical. But there's no real aspect to that, because of course Amazon has had issues of its own. Case in point, not too long ago, within January, I saw a between January and December or whatnot. I saw a news report where Amazon sent a customer that's been buying diapers and various other things for her small child and children, or children essentially, um, in the sense of diapers and various other things, right? And the last order she got was very, very unbecoming of a trusted retailer, be that online or not. But in this case, with Amazon, it was on an online retailer. She got already wrapped up, saran wrapped essentially, if you will, or plastic packaged diapers already used, being that someone already allow just put the used diapers inside that packaging, packed it up, and they had it sent out. When she got it, it was filled with feces. Yeah, you'd think Amazon would be very more than shall we say cautious about that. They seem to be trusting their suppliers way too well without being watchful. That can hurt Amazon. In fact, I know it does, and I know it is. I won't even buy. I won't. I won't. I won't even go over in the sense of Amazon and get anything in the sense of under the you know clothing type of thing. Hell, I probably won't even go to the points of clothing anymore with Amazon. And I have a feeling a number of you won't now either, in the sense of underwear versus other things, right? That can easily damage the even future possibilities that Amazon has for itself, or be that, of course, the execs have for the company itself in general. Be that, of course, that also can damage the future of Amazon on any particular new advancement that they want to do or even plan to do, which basically puts their customer base into a very low percentage, maybe lower than anybody realizes. To where other online distributors, retailers may get their business that Amazon once had, or probably still has, but probably will lose ever so gradually once the information is out there. If you think I'm making this, I'm not. I saw it for myself. It was on the local news. I can't remember if it was either on ABC, CBS type of channel for KOVR 13, Fox 40, or KCRA 3 or something. But in the instance of NBC or ABC or CBS or Fox, essentially. But the basic fact is that it did happen. Going back onto the situation with Rite Aid, I will put out there though that if Rite Aid wanted some help, I'd be able to help them. I know the way longs work, and be that I could use that knowledge to help them. I know the operation may be slightly different than what they're used to, but hey, change is not always easy. And with what I know, could easily boost Rite Aid, um, even beyond what I know of CVS, even beyond what I know of Walgreens. I mean, Rite Aid is doing good on the pharmaceutical part. I mean, that's a definite plus. That's a definite plus. They are doing really good in the pharmaceutical part, but they need to do. They want to go beyond that. I know. The one thing is that only time will tell is if they want my help. want my suggestions or advice or any number of things outside the concept of cash. With my business knowledge, I can help many businesses flourish, even the startup businesses out there. There are businesses I won't help, and they are the ones that go against the Bible for one. And yes, I am a businessman in my own right. I am a humanitarian citizen and education, health, and business advocate, of course, yes. But everybody has their limits. The basic fact is that yeah, many people say, well, why won't you help those promiscuity ones that couples can go to? The basic fact is one, I could even even not in agreement with the Bible. Yeah, I could. But the one thing is that the base of relationships is going as it is. Outside of the business aspect, yes, it is. Relationships is going due to feminism. They think it's because of the male. It's not. It's the high pergamy of the female. And I don't hate females. I don't dislike females. And I know they may dislike us men. We may dislike them in some respect, yes. But I mean, hey, that's part of being human. There's going to be hate and dislike of any sort, but the one thing is that the females are doing it in the most illogical ways. They're even in the sense of going against the Bible themselves, in the sense of cheating because they want to try to. It's almost like you want to go towards the aspect of um, teaching the male gender a lesson of when the male gender cheated on the females, and when the females never cheated on the males. But now it's kind of an almost a back and forth thing now on that aspect. So basically, mm-mm, the relationship thing is going down. The birth rate is going down. That doesn't really affect any business, really. Now does it? It does in the promiscuity retail business in more ways than one. Maybe not so little, not so much on the other aspects of the little trinkets, what have you, when it comes to the one person doing something to themselves type of thing, which is still sinful regardless. But in other ways, it does affect it, and it does put it into question in another spiritual sense as well. But outside, back to what I was saying is that I would more than more than definitely help Rite Aid. I would definitely help Rite Aid. Would I help CVS? Would I help Walgreens? Maybe. But if I did help CVS, they'd have to show that they can be better than have been sued for 3 times before they even acquired Longs, like they were several years back, or even now at this point, more than several years back. They would have to prove a lot of shit to me. But the one thing is, they have to be willing, more than willing to, essentially, and showing an actual more than an effort, really, in that sense as well. Because once you help a company, then they start repeating their same shit again. It's like a waste of time. I'm being honest. I will still advocate for businesses because I believe that every American person deserves to be employed. In order to survive, we need to do something, right? I mean, there's been many people who have been on Shark Tank on TV, for example, to get some backing of their creation, of their start of their businesses, right? And those who Shark Tank has, shall we say, turned away with no connection, no collaboration, no nothing, right? I'd be able to help them too, and I can. But outside of that, now with the agreement between the two companies of the pharmacy retailer, and the retail grocer of Albertsons or Safeway Albertsons, um, Rite Aid's pretty much on its own. Mm, whether that might be a positive thing for them or not, who's to say? Right now, anyway. It could affect him in the most negative way. Could be a positive one, but the one thing though too is that I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it another way, and the Rite Aid employees could also bring this up to their management. If any of them, and if any of you work for Rite Aid, the ones that are left anyway, want to pass this on, it's up to you. I'm reminding myself right now as when Longs first started. This was probably when Rite Aid was still pretty much in the East Coast as Thrift D's, and or even along the same lines of when Thrift D's went to Rite Aid. Okay. Um, the one thing I'm thinking is that okay, like Payless was big, not as big as it was later on down the line, but um, was it in the numbers, larger numbers than Long's was in the 1930s, or began to be a lot more so than Long's was in the beginning. But then when Long's started growing in the hundreds, then of course at some point or another that Payless started shortening, but ever so slightly. But then started to grow just a little extra later on, and in the years after. Mm, but the one thing is though, Long was pretty much a standalone retailer of their own in the beginning, like any other company is really, and but yet they still felt some competitive edge even against them. They didn't. It may not have seemed as such in the beginning, but hey, but they took it as such. That made it to where they were able to build even stronger, and so even in a steady pace. The one thing also is that Rite Aid could use the same concept even now. Don't worry about don't worry about who's getting bigger in the same retail part of your industry, be the pharmaceutical industry. Just just keep on building your customer base. One, your customer base will eventually build you up, the company up, essentially. The more you build your customer base, the better your financial aspect and financial stability and backing will become. This is true with any company. Of course, CVS and Walgreens are using it to their leisure, but what they are not watching for is the bottom line. There's always going to be a bottom line. And I can guarantee you that CVS and Walgreens are getting slightly closer to the bottom line, way more than they realize. Although Rite Aid might be closer, like Payless was at one point. And that'd be, of course, after Payless had to pull out of the Hawaiian Island market. Will Rite Aid be able to build back up the stores that were bought by Walgreens? They can. But again, just like any other company, new or been around for however many years, no matter what, how many stores that they have, even at current, the whole thing starts on customer base and customer satisfaction, which means they have to also do what Longs did. And I mentioned what Longs did when it came to making sure of there's no expired items in any part of the store. Nothing that you consume or drink, essentially drink or eat or chew on or even snack on. Same thing for the same thing for infants on that aspect. Make sure that there's no expired items on that level or any other aspect, especially for breakfast, lunch, and dinner aspects as well. If they do that and update their items where the expiration date is way before the expiration date of the however many items, even if that one item, or change it to one that's like it in place of the one that's nearly expired, like Long's did. Don't do a CVS, what I call a CVS, in the sense of just leaving the damn thing there and still selling it even while it's expired. Bad business. Of course, I know without noticing that Rite Aid had that happen only one time when it came to the expired prescription over the counter prescription thing, whether it was their brand of aspirin or not. Although in some cases it might have been, I can't remember exactly. But even if it was or wasn't, it doesn't matter. What matters is to make sure that it is not expired or even close to the expiration date. Meaning they would have to have a person scheduled to do round at least random checks within that week per store, or they could do it at the same in the same week at different stores. But of course, it would they'd have to make sure the management schedules their one employee to do it at most. Depending on the size of the store, it could be maybe more than one employee. If it's a smaller store, then one employee. If it's a larger store, two employees. If it's a much larger store, three employees. Debate and with that though too, once you replace or and update the item, if it's the same item with the expiration date further back, I'm talking months or weeks before, hopefully many months before, then you've got something going right there. Good. This is true for all businesses, including Rite Aid. And surprisingly, it would be a beneficial thing for CVS if CVS took the same fucking advice instead of expecting the customers to say, "Oh, excuse me, sir or madam, but that the item inside the freezer or on the shelving over in this aisle is expired or near the expiration date." Instead of expecting a customer to do that type of shit, they need to take the initiative to actually have their employees make sure that there's not one, and don't fly through there and not really notice if there is anything that's even remotely close to the expiration date. No matter how close or how far it may be, it needs to be updated regardless. Or even if it's not that far away from the expiration date, and if it's say a week or so before the expiration date, still needs to be updated. This is the way that Longs did it. This is the way that every business should do it if they ever want to have the same level of customer base, even to the points of it increasing, to where the longevity of the company is ongoing. Thereby, the more they do this sort of thing, the more people will trust them on every level possible. And with this, it is more than possible and more than conceivable. It many positive things can happen for the company and its employees along the way, and the corporate office at the same point. So basically, with all that, Rite Aid would be in the path for longevity. That's just the start of it. Of course, they have to watch their financial base, their financial stature, their financial aspects of their buildings that they're leasing versus ones that they own. But they still also have to watch for their property value and the upkeep of the buildings and the stores, and the cost of that would also go into play. And also, so would the aspects of if they can afford being in that said location or not, or locations, plural, which also can easily determine whether if they're able to stay in business in operation at all, regardless if it's low performing on various weeks and not so low performing in others. Depending, and again, yes, at times it does depend upon locations, and sometimes it depends upon the whole entire fucking chain. Whatever happens on various locations, low performing or moderate to high performing, it still depends on their longevity. If they are able to survive beyond where they are at and where they're heading towards and where they were before. That goes into more than determination, without question, without even going, gee, George, I wonder, you know. You might as well put CVS in the. Gee, George, I wonder. Should we do what he says and making sure that we don't get sued for the fourth or fifth time? He already knows our history when it comes to three times that we got sued. CVS. If you took what I said and actually showed some action into it, believe me, you would possibly do even better than you are doing now. Every business would do better than what they're doing, the way they are doing and have been doing even at this point. If they took my advice on everything I've said and what I feel and have seen thus far, and even before this point right here, I can guarantee you there would be more chances for more employment, more chances for everything positive that doesn't always connect with cash. It doesn't connect with corporate corporate takeovers. It doesn't go in with anything that goes into the basic business, but it goes into what's best for the customers, what's best for the general public, what benefits the general public. Everything positive there. Which basically whatever benefits and services positively the general public, the feedback that the company gets, no matter the location, it makes the company longer standing than they've ever thought before. And all it does take some is some more than doing and more than acting on. Instead of instead of going, well, gee. The basic fact is, the more you fucking hesitate, the more chances you can fall back even further. And you don't want to fall back too far. Because if you fall back too far, then that goes to the point of pink slips, layoffs, the whole enchilada there, which is not a good thing. And also, that also goes into play to where the business completely cuts back in the market of the Western, Eastern, Central market of the retail industry, or any industry for that matter. Case in point, it would happen, and it can happen even to Albertsons. It's more than possible to happen to Rite Aid at current. It's more than possible it can easily happen to Nob Hill. It can happen to Rayleigh's, Bel Air, Whole Foods. It can happen to fast food franchises. In many ways, it has happened to fast food franchises in different years, and sometimes the same year, but different months, different parts of the week and year. But the only question is now I know where does Rite Aid see itself? Where does the corporate exec see Rite Aid currently going? Do they think that it's pretty much like Payless was, still afloat, even though it's a standalone business right now? Or do they see any positive light along the way? Who's to say? The basic fact is they can see a positive light if they do exactly as I suggested to start with. They need to they may need to pinch their pennies, but not so much. They may need to pinch their pennies in the sense of making sure that they don't go into the points of acquisitions like they did with Eckerd's and Brooks and Payless, Thrifty, where they're and also to where they're not bought out like they were by Walgreens, at least to a certain percentage. Every business wants to and deserves to survive in any which way they can, as long as it goes with a positive level and a positive light, with not doing thing in any corruptive way or any other negative way, even against the customers. Because the customers are the reason why these companies have been able to last as long as they have, the even to this point thus far. It's the customers are why any company is able to survive. But of course, what happened to Mervyn's was due to corporate bullshit of the changing of ownership and changing of hands of sorts too. The indecisive, decisive movements and decisions and non-decisions and all sorts of other shit like that. The and what happened to Circuit City? The same thing. What happened to Radio Shack? Same thing. Radio Shack did it more in the sense of they wanted to focus on the new items and try to get any which way to where they can sell more of the new items instead of focusing on what they were known for in the beginning of their business, and still have also a focal point focus on what their new items. As long as they would be selling more of what they're known for, or at least what they were known for, along with a even a small percentage in the beginning, even beyond the holidays, of what they have in the new item aspect, they would have been here even now. There would be no Section 11 even with Radio Shack in accordance with Radio Shack. There would be no collaboration with Sprint in trying to get Sprint to take over a number of their stores like they tried to get Sprint to agree to. They wouldn't. Then Circuit City would still be around, competing with. Best Buy, and possibly even going to the extra extent levels, way more than Best Buy has done. Because even after the 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 aspect where Circuit City was no more, yes, for a while, for some time, that Best Buy started flourishing even more, even with the fries competitive aspect. But then eventually Best Buy started falling down again. Then of course eventually fries rose only to so far, but now then they started going down. Then Best Buy started going up again, but they didn't go as high as they did even after and before Circuit City went off the fucking map. Is because of their quick thinking. Oh, we're the top of the line. We could make any move we want in the business corporate aspect. That was so stupid of Circuit City to do. And I know the founder's son, Alan Wurtzel, would have made sure that they made way smarter decisions than they did even near the end. If Alan Wurtzel was still in connection with them as a lot more than he was after he stepped down, with the fact that if he knew me or a person like myself, Circuit City would probably still be here today. Of course, that can also go on to a if aspect for some people, maybe, but there's a general possibility in the same way. But as I've said, is never give in to failure, and which is our motto at C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate: never give in to failure. You don't want to give in too quickly or too rapidly. However you want to look at it that way, you don't want to give in even when you might be striving up on a positive level. You don't want to go, well, okay, that's enough. You know, you want to try to build up even more, but ever so gradually, ever so steadily, with making the right moves, the right decisions at the right time, especially even the right economical decisions, financial decisions, budget type decisions. This also goes along with when a person lives their life day by day. Same difference, but this one in the sense of business. I could still even say that Albertsons, what they still talk about Amazon doing something in the grocer aspect, aside from being um, in close ties and collaboration with Whole Foods, where Amazon is still going into the um, aspect of online grocer. It could I could easily still say that, and I might even say more and more later on down the line. The more I do videos like this, that Albertsons better separate themselves from Safeway to where they still both have a competitive edge, and to where people still have jobs even within the stores of both Safeway and Albertsons. Something to think about now, right? Albertsons, Safeway. Huh? Now, where do you think? Do you think that Rite Aid still has a chance, even though right now they're and what the media even says, the business media especially says, oh, the Rite Aid is at a standalone level, much like Payless was for a time, even after having to pull out of the Hawaiian market because they went into the Hawaiian market at the wrong point in time anyway, in the fucking first place. And the reason they went into the Hawaiian market is to better compete with Longs to start. And they wanted to be the next retailer to go into the to a new market, even though Longs went into it in the 1950s, several years before. And I'm talking several years before. But the only question is, would that have been beneficial, even if they didn't have to pull out, even if Payless didn't have to pull out so rapidly like they did have to? It could have helped them. It could have made them equally as strong as Longs was, equally as beneficial for the company in even when it comes to longevity aspects. Even if Rite Aid were to buy out a number of Payless stores in the East Coast, it still would have helped, possibly, yes. But we'll never know because Payless did what they did, and now they're no more. They've been no more even before now, actually. But you get my meaning. I know. If you know business as well as I do, you get my meaning. Now with Rite Aid practically in the almost the same base of financial economical standing as Payless was before Payless was completely bought out by Rite Aid. Even after the positive boost they could have gotten from the merge with Albertsons, Safeway Albertsons, essentially. Where do you think they are even now, or where do you think they would be, say, prior from this point? I can tell you honestly, it could be a huge question mark, moderate sized question mark, medium sized question mark, maybe human sized question mark. Who's to say? The one thing is, it all depends upon if one they take my suggestion of what I earlier said, what I was essentially what I said earlier, or kind of played Russian roulette in a sense. They play by playing the chance card game, but I wouldn't recommend that. Right now, I know Rite Aid is thinking that they must find ways to still have a competitive edge with the other pharmacy retailers as well as Walmart and Target and possibly a percentage of the grocery retailers, right? I don't think so. In fact, I know it would not be wise or even business savvy for them to worry about that because they don't have the stability to worry about that. Because eventually, what's happening positive for CVS, Walgreens could easily backfire on them eventually at some point or another if they're not careful, and that can happen to even those ones that are overly confident. And CVS seems to be the one of many of the overly confident ones next to Albertsons. Things will eventually backfire on them without them even realizing or even expecting it. I know a number of them may think, no, that won't happen. Oh, that'll never happen. No, no, he's lying. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, really? It's happened to many other businesses, even before I even said it, even after I said anything, even remotely close to it. Even before I had even a thought, before I even did any videos like this. So you could say that I know what I'm talking about, even if you think I don't. And I know what can and has and could still possibly happen to other businesses, even if it's not visual in the visual sense, or even a financial visual sense, economic visual sense, or anything else for that matter. Especially in the space of like visual sense of any on any aspect, on any aspect, really. Sure. Yes, many people think if I say, well, many people may say, okay, if you know this, then why aren't you in the business? I'm doing it. Advocating. I could also do it in a sense of getting money, but nobody's been asking for my services quite yet. I'm a patient person. I'm able to live comfortably without issue at times. Yes, but um, there's going to be issues at some point or another. So in anybody's life, especially economically, within their own finances. And sometimes there's a boost, and sometimes there's not. Sometimes there's a fallback, and sometimes there's not. Same in business. So generally, even with the general and final decision by the two uh, companies in the corporate offices of Safeway, Albertsons, and Rite Aid, What do you think would happen to Rite Aid? What do you think might happen to Safeway, Albertsons, even with that final decision? Even say months or year and a quarter later, say for example. What do you think? Uncertain. It's always been a guessing game because they always want to feel like they need to act fast, like this. You know, Rite Aid can easily take their time, and as they take their time, the more they do, without worrying about any competitive aspect or level, as if they were a mom and pop setup, regardless of the however many stores they have currently. They can still look at themselves as a mom and pop setup, and then ever so gradually build up. And I can still help. I can still do that for Longs. I can still do that for CVS if I so chose. I would definitely do it for Longs. I could do it for Safeway. I could do it for many other companies. All you have to do is ask. And if Rite Aid employees want to share this video with their management, but of course their management needs to know that I'll be talking about a lot of other things, like I just did just about a few minutes ago on this video. But the one thing is, I'm more than willing to help out in decision making advice aspects as well, but not in the sense of this, because because that will eventually build up within the company and for the company itself. But the one thing is, it also depends upon the decisions they make on a timely manner, especially times, and the right decision at the right time. And they need to work. They need to do things steadily, not so rapidly. And believe me, Rite Aid can build back up to the way it was even before Walgreens bought their number of their stores, whatever number it was of their stores. And I know it was a big number, but anyway, the basic fact is I'm being honest. Alrighty, if you want to know more, please let me know. And Rite Aid, if you want me to help you out, I can. And the advice and and I can also share with you my experience of Longs and what I know of Longs and the way they operated and whatnot else. The basic fact is that I could make it to where Rite Aid is, in essence, another Longs, even with that Rite Aid name on the building. Many things are possible. That's one of many reasons why I say never give in to failure. That's what the motto is for C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate, or CBA in a small abbreviation. As I've said before, if you have any questions or anything, please let me know on C.R.P.H.A. or CBA of the Business Advocate Facebook page or on the comment section below. This is CBA, C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate, Never give in to failure. Have a good day. Trump for 2020. May Heavenly Father bless the United States of America. May Heavenly Father bless Donald J. Trump and Mike Pence and the First Lady. And may Heavenly Father bless the American people and the United States of America. Have a good day. Stay safe. Stay strong. And as I like to say, live long and prosper. Have a good day.